So my name's Ben Leeson. I'm the brand experience director at a company called the Rec Hub. We are an embedded focused talent consultancy operating over UK, America, and a bit of APAC as well. Yeah, of course. I mean, if you probably ask that question to anyone across any industry, they'll probably tell you that the last 12 months has been a bit of a roller coaster, probably. It's not been the smoothest sailing for probably any business. However, we have seen some trends, and we have seen some kind of things that are developing across the industry. A particular one for us and the clients that we've been working with has been a more or a deeper approach to kind of fractional experts and sort of capacity planning. So being an embedded talent provider, the need for businesses to do more with less effectively has been ideal for us, because we can then use our fractional experts and our embedded talent partners to cover peaks and troughs where normal businesses probably wouldn't want to hire. So where we're seeing businesses that would turn off hiring and say, no, we've had to make mass redundancies, we don't really want to entertain any more heads, however we have XYZ amount of roles that we need to fill, they can lean on us as a fractional expert or as a flexible talent partner to come in and help. So that fractional approach to teams and to team growth has definitely been a trend that we've seen developing over the last 12 months. And that kind of goes hand in hand with a bigger emphasis on capacity planning. So I guess workforce planning, capacity planning, however you want to look at it, that need to really understand the output levels or the output capacity of a team, to just basically see where people can do more with less, or where people have more opportunity to help with roles. But on the flip side of that, it's to prevent burnout in teams. Go back to the start, if people are being asked to do a lot more with less, people are often kind of overloaded, or recruiters are often overloaded with the roles that they have to work. So understanding when that burnout level might start to creep in, understanding how much capacity one person in the team has compared to the other one, and if those capacity levels are getting higher, then relying on a fractional expert like us to come in and help with that peak in order to maintain kind of levels across the team. No, not massively. I feel like that initial remote revolution or evolution, probably, in how people work, I feel that's very quickly become the norm. I think it's we're finding that a lot of our partners are finding it slightly trickier to manage those capacity challenges or issues, because I guess seeing people in the office, it was always a lot easier to physically see the effects of burnout, or see the effects of kind of stress on people. When that's been removed and people are now operating remotely, businesses are relying much more on tools to help them do that, rather than the kind of qualitative measures of kind of desk dropping people and make sure they're okay. So I think there has been a shift in how businesses obviously are operating, and particularly from a capacity planning point of view, but not hugely, and not over the last 12 months, apart from how more prevalent it's becoming as a topic. Yeah, I mean, if it's not, you probably need to have a look at the business that you're working within, because it's, as we said, there's so many, a myriad of factors that are meaning people have to work harder and work longer, and unfortunately, in some circumstances, really work hard to justify their role in a business. As we know from recruitment and talent, quite often we're the first people to get cut. It's often seen as a luxury in businesses rather than a necessity. So I think we're trying to instigate a bit of a change, and I know a lot of other talent providers are trying to instigate this change as well, in making recruitment and talent a strategic part of the business, not just a reactive one. So with recruiters and people having to manage fluctuating priorities in businesses, that burnout opportunities is real, right? So the huge drive in wellness and wellness at work, and looking at actual working styles and working environments, it's it's not something that's going to go away. Let's put it that way. It's definitely something that's here to stay. That focus on the well-being as well as the kind of well performer of a or well performance of a person. Yeah, who knows? I think if the last 12, probably 24 months, anything to go by, anything could happen in the next 12 months. I mean, we're praying for a bit of stability across markets, but I think looking at trends, I definitely don't want to mention AI. I feel like I'm fed up of people talking about AI and how that's going to revolutionise every industry in the world. Of course, it will. It's a technology that's not going away, but I don't see it as a huge trend that's going to impact us or our business. We think there's probably going to be a a big and a more continued focus across employer brand, and really building quite a robust EVP and making sure, going back to our last point, making sure that people within the business feel like they belong, feel like they're valued as a contributor to that business. And I think that will see a knock-on effect into internal mobilization and people moving around in roles. And I think we're probably, and this is definitely an I think rather than I know, but I think the market is going to shift back to probably more skill-based hiring, um, because the markets are just so saturated with amazing people out there. The hiring market has become such a commoditized one that we actually now need to look at what people are bringing, again, qualitative wise, to a business rather than just the traditional qualifications. So I think how people can impact a culture, how people can drive an employer brand forward, how people are representing that brand, I think are going to be really key factors in hiring rather than just you've got an X degree from a Y university or you've worked for some of the mega tech firms. Brilliant. I think we're going to start looking at how we assess candidates or assess people joining our businesses in a slightly different way. We've definitely more of a focus on core skills and I guess what would traditionally be called soft skills. I think there's going to be a bit of a rise in that in terms of that skill-based hiring. Gone are the days of submitting a CV and a nicely written application letter and you're good to go. I think that dreaded word, but particularly with the rise of AI and initial screens, initial kind of resume screenings probably being done via bots and via AI. I think there's going to be I think there's going to be a different application process for a lot of businesses. We're also seeing an increase in hybrid working rather than just remote. So I'd love to see probably more physical interview processes coming back in and actually meeting face to face. Particularly if businesses are operating in a hybrid model, then that face to face interaction early on is definitely going to support that kind of skills based hiring and allowing people's personality to come through rather than just their qualifications. But as we said, who knows? Anything could happen in the next 12 months. Um, we so the partner that we're working with and the partner that we've been nominated in conjunction with for this award was BT. So for us, for a relatively young company with quite lofty ambitions and aspirations, but to be working with a brand like BT so quickly was fantastic for us. So the fact that we were able to go in, really go head to head with what's kind of, I guess, perceived as sort of the industry big boys, to go head to head with those guys and win the project was phenomenal. So that was a huge win initially for us. But the delivery of that project was what that's why we were really proud, and particularly because that delivery took us on our first APAC kind of contract. So we started supporting BT over in India, so their tech hiring and their IT hiring over in India. We've never done anything like that with our projects before. We've always been geography wise kind of quite centered in Europe with a little bit of the States. So the opportunity to work with a brand like BT, but overseas, and help their Indian contingent really grow and grow at volume and at scale was super exciting for us, and be able to approach the India side of the business slightly differently. There was a lot of brand experience events, hiring events, working with brands such as Google out in India as well. It was something very new, very different for us, but something that we very quickly kind of adapted to and excelled in, really. So we were able to place well, hundreds of roles out in India for BT across their software and IT teams. So that was amazing, and something that we weren't expecting. But when the opportunity cropped up to support them, we jumped at it, and hence why we thought that was worth a nomination, and clearly it was, because obviously we're now a finalist. So it was a bit of everything. I guess the brand we were working with, the deployment and how we managed that process, and then the sort of land and expand, for a better term, strategy in BT to then take on stuff out in India as well.